Good evening. Welcome to episode 3 of Not Another Cheltenham podcast. Just myself and Joe this week. We've done away with the guests and we've gone for the expertise. We're going to take you through some of the most difficult races of the week because for some reason, Joe, you decided to put them all on the same call.
Yeah, you got to get into the old nitty gritty, haven't you? And actually, I'm looking at some of these. I'm surprisingly quite confident, but aren't we all at this time of year before it all starts?
Absolutely. We're all in that. I'm going to back 28 winners phase and it lasts until about 1:35 on the Tuesday and then we go.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with the third race on the Wednesday, the 250, which is the Coral Cup. I don't think I've ever backed the winner of this race, but, there's always a first. I'll take you through the market and it's a little bit of a non-triers market, shall we say. You've got Sama Jest is 5-1. God knows how he's ended up with the mark of 140. Then you've got Langer Dan. We all know how he's ended up with a market of 141. No Ordinary Joe is third in. Doddy the Great, built by Ballymore, lucky place, and then it's 14's Bardos. Come on in, Joe. Tell us who you think's been trying and who's not, and how do you see the race going?
Well, there's like three social media talking horses, shall we call them, and that's Sama Jest, Doddy the Great, and No Ordinary Joe. That's the thing with social media. We touched on it last week. Something like No Ordinary Joe the other week, everyone pinpointed him. Maybe, 10, 15 years ago? Not many people would have noticed it and known about it. Now social media, you don't even have to watch the race. Just go onto the Twitter X after, and it's all No Ordinary Joe, siren alert, non-trier, what do you call it? Yeah, Langadad, does he come into that category, non-trier, Adam, would you say?
Well, yeah, probably. I don't think anyone, even Dan Skelton, would probably say, well, it hasn't exactly been the plan to win earlier in the season. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, but I can't have Langadad myself and No Ordinary Joe. I can't have him. Doddy the Greats, Nicky's been talking him up, but 59, he's not going to get in, is he?
I'd be surprised. I mean, when you go through this race, one of the big problems is almost half the field has got a Martin Pipe entry. There's another 7 or 8 that have got a Coral Cup entry. So you're guessing a little bit, but I would be fairly surprised at number 59 if he sneaks in.
Yeah. And obviously the big talking horse in Ireland is Sama Jest. 6-1, is that a bit short, would you say?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. At first, I had him on my radar because I thought he's going to get a mark here for beating Noble Yates.
Yeah.
And I thought, like clearly many shrewds, thought that this thing is going to be thrown in. But actually, the more I've heard other people whose opinions I really respect make the great case that actually, firstly, he beat Noble Yates in a small field on heavy ground over 2.5 miles at no pace at all. So it didn't suit Noble Yates. He probably wasn't fully wound up. Now, literally, the handicapper's got to make a decision because Noble Yates has come out and won the Cleve. He's beaten a load of veterans in what was a really entertaining race, but I don't think it was sort of top class form. They've given him a mark of 140. I'd imagine on that he goes to the Martin Pipe, but I'm not. 2 months ago, I was convinced he was thrown in, and now enough people have said to me, you should think about this form a bit better. And maybe I mean, firstly, do you want to be backing anything in the Coral Cup at 5-1? Not really, would be my suggestion. His French form is okay, but it's not like you'd think, wow, in hindsight, that French form's worked out really well. What a grade 1 horse he is. I wouldn't want to back him. I guess in my head, I'd think if he is genuinely a grade 1 horse and he's running in a race like this, which does happen. Super Sunday won the Coral Cup easily and proved to be a grade 1 horse, so it could happen, but I'll take my medicine at 5s. I'm not really keen to get stuck in. Same with Langer Dan. I can't be out. How can you judge that horse? I mean, what's the point? Why don't with a handicapper just say, you know what, Dan Skelton, next year, don't bother running him. I'll just give him 141 for the Coral Cup, and you can just turn up 12 months later. Stop wasting everybody's time.
Yeah,
So
I mean, took Sama Jest. I can't weigh it up. So I'm not going to back a horse that I can't weigh up the form because it's just wrong. And if Langadan does win this race, which I don't think he will, it's a bad look for racing, in my opinion. We touched on Muay Thai. He's been chasing all season. He's £3 lower mark than his Martin Pipe run last year. But we said he is dangerous, but he doesn't like winning. he just doesn't like it. So as dangerous as he possibly is, I nearly pressed go on my tie, but I'm avoiding him. There's one in there at Springwell Bay. Not sure. He's got a couple of entries, I think. I'm not sure where he's going to end up, but he was sixth in the Ancient Grade 1 last season. He won on his seasonal debut at Cheltenham over this trip in November. Probably a tad cozier than I suggested, to me anyway. He was fourth at Cheltenham over 3 miles. That was on heavy ground, and that probably scuppered him following up. Second in a per temps qualifier, so I'm not sure if that's the route they're going to go. The winner of that qualifier has gone in since, so he's been inched up to 145. But I think Springwell Bay, if he does turn up here, I think he's a massive beach road player, and he would be my selection as we speak.
Okay, Springwell Bay for Joe. Well, I've got 2 thoughts on this race. The first is a bit of a controversial horse in Oldcastle Day Mott. We all know the story that they threw him into the Betfair on first run. The issue at the start with getting him reshod and everything. I think he actually ran all right. I think he's better than that. They go out in triple help. You know, he's got 3 entries at the festival. He may not get in any of them. So it's far from certain. But I thought Patrick Mullins made a good case of kind of, you can't just judge him on his first run, and we've bought him to go chasing. So if they persisted with Cheltenham, that would interest me. But there is one I really like in here. And I like the angle with this race of looking and thinking, right, what's actually going to bloody run? Because if you could run in a 0 to 145 in the Martin Pipe and you've got a good apprentice jockey, you're probably going to go there. So I started to sort of put lines through things that I thought would go there. I started to look and think what needs the county hurdle, what's going to run. And in the end, I've come down on a proper old rogue of a horse called the Devil's Coachman. Now, he's been a talking horse for Cheltenham at least twice in recent years. Everyone saw his sort of beginner's chase campaign when they thought they were trying to hook him, and it never really worked out. Didn't even come to the festival last year. They went to Limerick and won a grade 3 with him as well. But he's a consistent horse over fences. They've then gone back over hurdles this year. I thought he ran really well on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, sorry, when he chased home Sir Gerhard. I thought that was a good run. I'm prepared to forgive the poor run in the Galmoy because that was a 4-runner race on really deep ground. And once his chance has gone, he was just eased off. But it's never easy to be top weight. 12 stone in a Coral Cup. This will be some performance. And Noel Mead is not exactly having a brilliant season for me to get excited about. But I do think slightly better ground will be in his favour. It's interesting also to me that we don't really know with this horse because he's never actually been to the Cheltenham Festival. So the fact this is his only entry kind of lured me in to think this horse might be a very big price on the day, 25s or more. You'll get extra places. Now, the likelihood also to bear in mind is the Devil's Coachman is running for JP McManus because JP will probably have at least 2 others in here. No Ordinary Joe, maybe. Brazil, probably. And obviously, if you can put your own top weight in, you can reduce the riding weights of everything else that you fancy in the race, which he's certainly done with the likes of Dame de Compagnie and things in the past. But I do think at top weight, he's going to be about 25s. Better ground, big field will definitely suit him. This is his only entry, so it's obviously the plan. It certainly would not be a strong fancy from me, but I do think he will run better than a 25 to 1 shot would suggest. So we're going to move from a handicap race to what is effectively a grade 1 veterans chase, or the cross country as it's also known. This race is really, really hard. And I must say, my full sympathy is with everyone who's got a genuine cross country type, because how on earth can you hope to win this? But the current market has Minella Indo at 15 to 8, Delta Work at 3s, Galvin at 4s, Cocoa Beach at 5s, Conflated is at 10s. It's 12s Foxy Jacks, 16 Statler, 25s Ascaria 10, and then any price you like the rest because they're about 3 stone behind in terms of ratings. Joe, how do you see the cross country?
Well, I must admit, this year I haven't really got a selection in the race. I just find it a bit like I don't know, it's a Gordon Elliott tribute act, isn't it, really? Manila Rindo, was he that good over the cross country fences last time?
I don't know. I didn't really see. I wasn't in love with it
No,
myself, but
no. And obviously, Delta Work. He obviously handles the track. apart from the rest, Cocoa Beach is obviously a very talented horse, Conflated, very talented horse. But like you say, if you've got a serious cross country horse, what chance have you got against like Statler, Conflated, Cocoa Beach, Galvin, Delta, and Elarindo? They're all running Grade One 3 mile chases. It's ruining it a bit for me. But I don't know what you think, but Gordon Elliott's going to train the winner, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah, he is. And it's like with French racing, I watch loads of cross country racing. It's really exciting. But let's face it, the reason there are no French runners here is because a genuine cross country horse is 125 to 135 in terms of ability. And you can't possibly expect them to run off level weights and have a hope in hell. This race does need looking at. I doubt they'll ever change it. For me, the horse I want to be against most is Delta Work. I know he's won this before, he's got a great record, but he hasn't looked in any kind of form. And his run in the Boyne Hurdle was pretty average. He was outpaced. I just thought I don't really see. I know it's a different track, but Galvin was comfortably 10 lengths in front of him in that Boyne Hurdle. And I see no reason at all why Galvin won't uphold that form. Do I want to really get stuck into Galvin at fours? Probably not, if I'm honest. I don't think he wins enough. I think that would be my concern. And the other thing that would worry me is Galvin's season is clearly built around running in the Grand National Aintree. So if this ground is absolutely bottomless, are they really going to throw everything at it? I thought Cocoa Beach was impressive. Quite liked him. I think Conflated will run elsewhere. I do think the each way value in the race is probably Foxy Jacks. Now, I don't think he's got enough up his sleeve to make me think he's going to win this. Because if you look at official ratings, he's rated 147 as a chaser. Even with these grade one types on the downgrade, that still leaves him with a stone to find.
Yeah, it's a lot.
What I did like was I liked the way he ran in the November meeting when he won. And over Christmas, they ran him in a Pertemps qualifier and he finished fourth, beating 3 lengths. Now, I would argue that that form is at least as good as Delta Work, who's been beaten out of sight in a Boyne Hurdle. Statler is just too slow at any trip, so I'm quite happy to put a line through him. Cocoa Beach is the one I would fear, but I just feel on the day, because it's Cheltenham and I'll probably want to have a bet in every race, I'd throw a couple of quid on Foxy Jacks each way, just because I think he may not need to find this sudden stone of improvement to get at least involved in the places. But again, it's a race I'm quite.
We mentioned it about, like you say, it's difficult for the proper cross country horses. JP Manners has always been a great supporter of this race, and even his runners are dwindling for this year by year. And King of the Banks, Edna Bolger, has he been? When was the last time he had a run him in a cross country race at Cheltenham? He's just. Exactly. It seems to have lost its. I don't know. Is it lost its romance type thing now?
If I'm not sure making it a handicap is necessarily the solution. Gordon won't like it, but my suggestion would be if you've ever won a grade 2 or a grade 1 over fences, you can't run.
I agree. Yeah.
You just can't run. There's plenty of options for you throughout the season. There's plenty of options for you at Cheltenham. You have to draw the line somewhere. And if you're going to continue with the idea of having a cross-country race at the festival, part of the attraction for the cross-country race is that smaller connections can win it. And, there are certain trainers who used to target the race, as you said, who now look at it and think, what's the point?
Yeah.
And then that's got to change. Will they change it? Probably not, because that's not the way that racing seems to operate. But for me, it's a really straightforward change. You could just say, if you've won a great run, what is a Gold Cup winner doing in here? Can you imagine 15 years ago, Paul Nicholls had said, we're not going to run Cato Star in the Gold Cup because I've eyed up the cross country for him.
Yeah.
He loves a bit of Banks racing. That kind of story. It's just not right. And I don't really see what the gain is. So we'll leave our moaning about the cross country and we'll move on 40 minutes later to the Grand Annual. My mate Mozzie is your 7-1 favourite currently. Sanois is 8-1. Harper's Brook is 9-1. You need balls of steel to back that. Liberty is 10s and it's 12s bar. Joe, give us an angle into the Grand Annual.
I mean, with the news breaking about Marine Nationale today, my mate Mozzie's obviously favourite. I wonder if he will go to the Arc now, maybe, do you think?
I think they've got to be tempted now.
Got to be.
You'd have to look, especially as he's won over the course and distance.
Yeah.
So I think there's a few connections now. I look at the Arkle and think, yeah, we'll have a go.
I'd say so. Master Chewie's in the Arkle as well, but like we said, Matata's twisted his Arkle also. Whether he'll fire two at it, I'm not so sure. So, um, back in early season, there was a horse called In Excelsis Dio, um, promising run, finishing like a train. And I thought, hey, up, he could be a Grand Annual horse, but he just keeps throwing races away with his jumping. He makes bad mistakes at the wrong time of the race, and if he does that round here, you just ain't going to get a chance to recover. So I've gone from like really liking him to I'm not so sure now. I need something a bit more reliable in the jumping department. Anyway, Master Chewy would be dangerous if he's allowed to be ridden prominently. I think I went back through his races when he's ridden from the like prominent and from the front, and he's allowed to attack his fences a bit like he did at Kempton. He's a very, very good horse. Whether a big field will suit him, all his winning has been done in smaller fields, and all the time he's ran in big fields, he hasn't really looked like getting involved. So that'd be my worry with him. Um, Talking about old rogues, Adam, one here stuck out for me, a bit like you. It's a JP horse, San Juan. Looking at his form this season, you're thinking, where's he plucked that out from? But he's well noticed in the market. He's second favourite. He's a county hurdle winner. Geraghty's obviously last winner, Grade One, last winner. He's a former champion at hurdle third. He's a Grade One chase winner in December 22. Poor field, but still, it's a Grade One. Third in last year's Arkle, which I know you can't take the form literally because he's miles back, but he's still there. And he was second Aintree behind Banbridge. I thought jumping the last year he was going to beat Banbridge, but Banbridge just seemed to kind of like outstay him. This season he's been fourth out of five, third out of five, fourth from 11, and last out of five. But three of these have been in graded company. So I'm not doubting his talent. It's just, does he still want it enough? But we always say, like, these talented horses, they always have one day left in them. And he's a JP horse, and we know what they're like in handicaps. I just think Willie Mullins will have him bang ready for the day. Grade One all season, drops you into a little handicap, and away we go. And 152, it's not exactly sky high, is it?
It's not. I mean, the first thing I think that will probably throw his brain is he'll be trying for the first time this season, which, you know, and I know they've pitched him into some really deep company, so I can sort of see the angle. I guess if I was being harsh, he fits into the Andy Dufresne kind of
Yeah,
model of sort of a
yeah,
JP
right.
horse who's not quite good enough at this level and he's coming into this. I'm less convinced. I don't really. He's the kind of horse that if he wins, I'll just think fair enough, because I don't really think I could back a horse who's barely beaten a rival this season. But maybe that was the plan. Maybe they just took the view we've got no other way of getting him handicapped.
Does look like from his own point of view, it does look like a winnable Grand Annual this year.
Yeah, it is. It is potentially a winnable Grand Annual, definitely. I think whether he's got enough to give away lumps of weight, you'd have to see. I mean, the problem is you can't really. If you looked at the way he jumped at Leopardstown, he's tailed off. You can't really see it from the camera angle. It's you know what do we know about Zanois? So I can certainly see the angle. For me, there's a form line in here that I really want to sort of get myself stuck into, and that is from the Dublin Racing Festival. I mean, Sophie Leach was the only British runner in a handicap at the DRF, and Madara absolutely bolted up under James Reevely. Really impressive performance. I think that horse has got to have a great chance. Really great chance. He's a really up and comer. He won and he beat the horse that you mentioned, In Excelsis Dio, back in December at Cheltenham, so we know he handles the track. I think he'd have to have a chance, but the horse I like is the horse who chased him home in the DRF, and that's Path de Rue for Gavin Cromwell. Gavin Cromwell's obviously done really well, British raiding all season long. I thought Path de Rouge jumping let him down too much in the race at the DRF. He looked to be coming, as they're getting towards as they're approaching the last. I thought he's going to get there, and then Madara just pulled out more. James Reevy gave him a superb ride, but there is a decent little swing at the weights there. There's a £6 swing at the weights for a 2.5 length defeat. I think Path de Rouge is going to get in here with a riding weight of around 11 stone, and I think he's got an absolutely massive chance. We mentioned Hunter's Yarn earlier. He chased him home in the beginner's chase at Fairyhouse. That form looks pretty reasonable to me. Very lightly raced. Yet to win over fences, but I think he's been coming to the fore, and he was a point-to-point winner. But I thought the other thing that was significant was this is his only entry at the festival. They're not looking at any other races. There's no other plan for him. This is where he's going to go. I just really like him. I think him and Madara are both on the upgrade, and I think they've probably both got £7 or £8 in hand, which is normally what you need to be competitive. It's a fair form angle. They're both 12 to 1. I wouldn't put you off either of them. I just thought the swing at the weights might be enough to reverse the form. And what I do like in this race is horses that are sort of coming out of their novice season, but they've got experience. It's no good coming here when you've had 4 runs. You need to, this is 25 runners, hell for leather. So plenty of jumping experience will do. So I guess then we're going to move on probably to the most difficult race on tonight's recording, and that's the Champion Bumper, Joe. I have to say, normally we'd have a red hot favourite for this. It's trained by Willie Mullins, and we can all just get stuck in and get out of jail at the end of the halfway stage. But this year's race, it's 4 to 1 the field. It's really difficult to try and work out what on earth is Willie Mullins pecking order, let alone the rest of it. Any thoughts at all on the bumper?
A bit like yourself, it's not a race, or really. You definitely don't have any anticipation. It's more like say, it's a bet on the day job. And again, the big two in Ireland, Willie Mullins are well represented, but I don't know how you can have a bet at this time when it's just guesswork of who's going to rock up. I mean, Mullins must have 7 or 8, maybe. I mean, one year, did he have 6? 6 of the first 8 home, or something stupid, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely had a couple of years. I mean, he's had a couple of years with 8 runners, so.
Yeah. I mean, of the Irish, I think I do like, is it Se Chance? Simon Air Horse, point winner in February last year. On his rules debut at Navan in January, he's beaten by the William Money, and that horse is now very highly regarded. A lot of people are saying after Nature of the Week, it's the best bump horse in Ireland. William Money isn't running here, so Set a Chance on the form lines looks to hold a leading chance, but he's 16 to 1. I don't know why. Does that sway that he's not going to show up, do you think?
I think it's probably more just that he didn't actually win his bump.
Yeah.
I think that's the only. I mean, obviously, you are playing Willie Mullins bingo with kind of like, he's got so many entries, it's untrue. But maybe it's the fact he's not a winner.
Yeah, but he would be my Irish selection, so to speak. But Tishan from the Paul Nicholls yard, the owners obviously had 3rd last year with Captain Teague, same connections. Again, he's a point winner. I think he won his point by 41 lengths. Won his rules debut at Exeter, 7 lengths, but it was easy as you like. As with these, you haven't got much form to go on because they're all very similar. But yeah, Tishan, I just get Nicholls isn't really a bumper trainer, especially not for the champion bumper. But recently, he started to throw a few more at it, and yeah, Tishan I think is very interesting. I know Megan Nicholls, the other day, she likes the other one, the bigger price Nicholls horse. I can't know what it's called now, do you?
You're going to ask me to pronounce it. I think you pronounce it Quebecois.
Something like that. I'm glad you said it rather than me. But yeah, Tishan and Set a Chance would be my pair if they show up against the field.
Okay, Joe's having 2 against the field. Tishan, I can definitely agree with. I mean, he not only did he win his point by 41 lengths, but the second one next time, which is always a sign of like at least he beat a winner. I could definitely see that. I think if there is going to be a British trained winner of the bumper, it's surely Tishan. I haven't
Yeah.
really seen anything else. But the other one that sort of I really like, the price has gone a little bit, and that's Gordon Elliott's horse, the Yellow Clay. Won 2 bumpers in March last year. Had a slight setback, so they didn't decided not to go novice hurdling. They'd keep him for another bumper campaign. So they ran him at the DRF. He ran in the race there behind Jeroboam Machi. Now on paper he was beaten 7 lengths, but he just lost position at a crucial stage, and then really it just was so short of room. By the time they pulled him out, it was too late. But he's flying at the finish. He was 40-1 that day. I thought it was a really good run, and I think that race will work out. Jeroboam Machine, the winner, is unfortunately not here. He's out. Willie Mullins had the second. Redemption Day was third. Again, another Mullins one. The Yellow Clay finished fourth, beaten 7 lengths. I thought he was interesting. Now, one or two other racing pundits have put him up, which has kind of collapsed the price a little bit. But I thought just the fact that they've decided to they've held back completely on the novice hurdle campaign. They've gone for this. I think he's a really talented horse. I think he should be closer to favouritism than he is. I'm really not overly sold on the two at the head of the market. Jalon Dudery and Jasmine DeVoe look good horses to me, but they both look like soft ground horses. And I just think in the champion bumper, you sometimes need a little bit of class and stamina as well. But again, like you said, Joe, this is, I can't, I don't want to be getting stuck into this particularly. I certainly don't want to be getting stuck in anti-post. Andy was the last winner of this race I backed, and it's unlikely to change this year. So we'll go from there to a race that I have a very strong opinion of, and that is the 6th race on the Thursday, and that's the Mares Novices Hurdle. This is arguably one of the most exciting races of the entire week because you've got 3 truly excellent Mares Novices in here, plus a couple of others who've got more than enough ability to get involved. Right now, Brighter Days Ahead is a 6-4 favourite. Jade de Gruge is 5-2. Dysart Enos is 4s, and then it's 14's bar. Joe, any thoughts on the Mares Novice?
I'm afraid I'm going to have to. I'm glad you said you like this race. I'm not that I dislike it, but I have no selection clue at all, really. I haven't had time to research these at all. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to leave this one to you, I think, Adam.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I'm going to take a pass on the next race we cover, so we'll let you over that one. So the problem with this race is for once that you actually got some horses in here. You think, blimey, these are really decent mares. Normally, this is just a cavalry charge, and something gets a good ride and wins it. Bright Days Ahead is favourite. She's probably achieved the most on the track, but I also think she's kind of like favourite just on reputation alone. Gordon made that comment of like, she's the best we've ever had in the yard. I'm like, really?
Favourite on Elliot's mouth alone.
Yeah, yeah. And when he said that, I thought, well, I'd back Apple's Jade to beat her any day of the week. But we'll skip over that. She's definitely, she's achieved the most. She was very good at Navan, but she was also very good at Navan, beating a horse who's, would probably be rated around 130 when she gets a mark. Over 2 mile 5, heavy ground, listed race. I don't know. Is that enough to be 6-4 favourite in a field like this? There are 2 angles for me. I've no interest in backing Dysart Enos. As much as it'd be wonderful to see Fergal O'Brien celebrate his first Cheltenham winner, and for him alone, I hope she wins. But to me, she's had races against absolutely nothing, and she's going to go from running in a race where she was 1-9 on to win at Doncaster to rocking up against really battle hardened fillies and mares. I just don't see it, and I think avoiding the penalty misses the point. If you've got a penalty, that means you were good enough to win a graded race, which means you've been in a proper contest. £5 at this level is nothing to me. Golden Ace is one I really fear. I think if Golden Ace was trained by Nikki Henderson, she'd be half the price. But
Really?
because she's trained by Jeremy Scott, she's 14s. I watched her win at Taunton in January, and I thought, well, there's a real touch of class about this filly. Whether she's good enough to take the step from a couple of Taunton novice hurdles up here, I'm not sure. But last year she chased home Dysart Enos in the Grade 2 bumper at Aintree. She's a price, but the superstar in here is Jade de Gruge, and until Jade de Gruge is beaten, I don't want to oppose her. She won an AQPS bumper in France. The time figure was just exceptional. Now we have to bear in mind St. Brieuc is a track where this final circuit is about 6 furlongs round, very tight, so you can get some speedy races there. But she won at Leopardstown over Christmas by 15 lengths. Now, okay, let's be honest, she probably didn't beat a great deal, and the horses that she did beat, well, you know, they've got no business running at Cheltenham. But then she comes out and she runs in the Sol Arena. The Sol Arena itself probably wasn't run to suit. It was quite a sort of trappy affair, and there's lots of them in contention as they turned for home. And then suddenly Brian Hayes just gave her a little squeeze and off she went. And there was so much turn of foot there. She had 6 lengths back to Penny 100. Penny 100's a genuine, decent mid 130s mare. Behind that, you had Look to the West as well, who's rated 132. I just think that was really solid run. I can definitely see Jade DeGrugy coming on. And I just think, I wonder if Brighter Days Ahead has the speed to beat Jade DeGrugy at this stage. Now, maybe in a year's time, when they're both racing over 2.5 in the mare's hurdle, Brighter Days Ahead will reverse it. But I think if Paul Tanner can just get Jade DeGrugy within 2 lengths of her turning for home, she'll have far too much speed.
I was under the impression Jade DeGrugy would be all the rage for this, but then, like you say, Gordon just started like hyping up Brighter Days Ahead. All of a sudden, Jade DeGrugy's like what 5-2 in places.
I just can't. It's very easy for me to talk because I'm on at much bigger prices than 5-2.
Yeah,
But I also take the view with Jade DeGrugy that, yeah, I just look at her form and I just think if Gordon hadn't said anything and we were just coming to this fresh, the form book would say they're at best the same price.
yeah,
They're both graded winners. They're both highly progressive. They've both got solid form. They're both with top yards. Next year, maybe the mare's hurdle will be different, and maybe Brighter Days Ahead will outstay her. But right now, I just think over 2 miles in a big field, she'll just be swinging away. She's got a lovely turn of foot. She's probably my strongest fancy of the week. I'll be pretty disappointed if Jade DeGrugy doesn't win this, but we
no,
shall see. The mare's novice hurdle is not a race. Probably to have your biggest bet, but she's the one I just think she should be favourite, and she's not, so she's probably value. So we're going to come on to the Friday. And we're going to look at a very, very difficult race, in my opinion, here. And that is the Albert Bartlett. This is probably the most exciting race of the week right now because no one's got a clue. It's 11-2 the field. Reading Tommy Wrong is just about favourite from High Class Hero, Dancing City, Gidley Park, Captain Teague, Lecky Watson, Shanna Bob, Answer the Cave. I mean, all of those are 14s or shorter. We get a bit ragged after that, but I'm going to take a pass on this. Staying novice hurdles is not my bag, and I really can't separate the head of the market. So I'll pass it over to you, Joe, because I know you've got a stronger opinion.
it's the race I generally love. I've had loads of success in this in the past, and it's quite obvious what type of horse you need to win this when you've had Bobsworth, you know what I mean, Harry, Stay Away Faye, Vanillier. We touched it before, and they're not slow horses, and they're not quick either. They could just maintain that gallop up that hill and just see it out better than anyone else. And you need a proper like dog's the wrong word. You need a grinder, someone a street fighter, streetwise, someone who's not going to shirk it. And there's one in here who I think has all them qualities, and that's Shanna Bob. He's done plenty wrong in his 2 races so far, and he's just got this desire to gallop and not give up. He's got course experience. I thought his run at Cheltenham was superb. He won at Plumpton before that over 2.5 mile, and you know South Adam, Plumpton and Cheltenham, a chalk and cheese. The thing at Plumpton was the further he went, the further they went, the further he went away from them, and that's just a sign of a very good horse for me going into a race like this. Cheltenham December was a grade 2 over 3 miles. Again, he just keeps finding and giving. Wasn't the most straightforward. He was a bit slow and a bit ponderous over a couple, but I'd expect Nicky to line that out between. See, it was back in December, so he'd have a long time to sort it out. I think did you hear that he had a slight issue after Cheltenham? Very slight, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. I don't think it was anything significant.
No.
I
I could just
didn't.
see him outstaying a lot of these. I mean, you went through a couple then. 7 to win the field, is it? I mean, High Class Heroes is he favourite just because he's trying to Willie Mullins? Because he's been winning like 4 or 5 runner races, and he's gonna have a bit of a shock when he gets to an Albert Bartlett. Tell me, reading Tommy wrong. I do like the source. I like him for the it's not the Ballymun now, is it? It's the Bearing Bingham, is it?
One, yeah.
Bearing Bingham. I like him for that, so I hope he goes there. Gidley Park, is he in the mould of, you know what I mean, Harry? I'm not so sure. I don't think he's as much of a stayer. Lecky Watson, you've touched him before. And Captain Teague, obviously third in last year's bumper, can't really be trusted. Johnny Who, you did like him, but not for this race. Yeah, Shannon Bob for me, 11 to 1, 10 to 1. Oh, he's got a massive chance for me. Massive chance. He would definitely be going in one of my lucky 15s for the week, without a doubt.
Strong fancy for Joe then with Shanna Bob. So then we're going to move on to the last race we're going to look at tonight, which is the 450, the Mare's Chase. Dino Blue is a shade of odds on at 10 to 11. 7 to 2 Allegory de Vassy. 5's Limerick Lace. 7's Bride's Hill. And then 20's Bar. I guess we should start with the favourite, Joe. Would you be a backer or would you want to take on Dino Blue at odds on?
I do not be taking her on, but I am biased. She's been a guilty pleasure of mine for a while now. Since I saw her for the first time, obviously you love the Mayor's Novice. Remember that time she ran in the Mayor's Novice in 22? She was wow. She was favourite, wasn't she? But she was well beaten. Like, she was ninth or something. But that was the first time I seen her in the flesh. And as soon as she appeared in that parade ring, I thought, wow, who is that? And she stood out like a sore thumb. She's massive back then. And it was no surprise. She only had 4 runs over hurdles before they got her over fences. I mean, but looking at her Mayor's Novice, do you think, looking back at the race, Anne, do you think the occasion got to her? Is it the occasion or the hustle and bustle in the big field and stuff? Because
I think at that time it might have done. Last year, I thought she ran a really good race in the Grand Annual last year, and she just bumped into a horse in Muscada who was at the absolute peak of her powers. And Muscada was running there off 142. She's now rated £7 higher. The pair of them, were comfortably in front of Global Citizen, who had a really good record. So I think that Grand Annual run was really good. So I'd be happy to overlook what happened in the Mayor's Novice. I mean, don't forget, Epatante ran in that Mayor's Novice, and no one would have ever looked at Epatante and thought she'd win a champion hurdle on the back of the Mayor's Novice.
no,
So plenty to hope with.
I just think like she's always been physically fit. I think now she's matured mentally. Like, and the Grand Annual would have been the making of her. Second, like say, second that race, she won the Grade 1 over the fences over Christmas. She was second to Al Fab in a prep run. I just think I might just be being blinkered, but I just think she's miles better than this time, isn't she?
Yeah, I think so. I don't really. The penalty system for this race is a bit weird. So the fact she's giving £2 to Allegory de Vassy, yeah, that doesn't bother me at all. She's definitely more than £2 better than Allegory de Vassy. I don't think Allegory de Vassy really wants 2.5 miles up the Cheltenham Hill.
I
And
agree. I think she shirked it last year, don't you?
yeah, and I just think with her, she's a very good horse, but her best form has come in small field races on bad ground. If this race develops into a sprint, Allegory de Vassy might have a chance, but I just think there's going to be a few taking their chance in here. I do like Limerick Lace. I think she's a solid option. Is she quite got the class of Dino Blue? Probably not, but I do like her. I think she'll probably be in the first 3 or 4. Same with Bright Hill. I think she runs a nice race. To be honest, it's one of those races I don't really want to have a bet, because Dino Blue is odds on, doesn't really appeal. I don't really want to. If at the end of the day, if I'm coming to the 27th out of 28 races at the festival, and I'm thinking I need to get stuck into this odds on shot, it's time just to put the pen down and say, you know what, we're done for this year.
If you need this one desperately, because the mountain bike's after, and you're in a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah, you're in a whole lot of trouble. There were 2 at like massive prices that I thought on the day I might throw in a full cast or place only. The first is Stuart Edmonds' mare, Marsh Wren. She's won 3 out of 4 fences. Got quite a bit to find on the ratings, but I thought her win at Turles was really quite impressive. I know she only beat Laurella, but that was a good run on deep ground. I think she's probably a little bit overlooked. I don't think she can win. So, it's not really. So I don't want to have an each way bet. I don't think they can win unless it's a ridiculous price. So at 20, she doesn't really appeal. But on the day, she might be the type who'll stay on nicely and might chase home Dino Blue, hit the frame. But I am going to have a swing, and it's a proper swing. She's 80-1 for this race, and this requires a lot of balls of steel, and that's Pink Legend.
Oh,
Now, you have to be very careful when you are backing a mare whose form figures since running at Cheltenham last year have been a bit hit and miss, but she's got such a good record at Cheltenham. She's got a great record in this race. She's placed in the last 2 renewals. I was encouraged by what she did at Newbury before Christmas. She beat Garlia de Lito. That form was frank because the Skelton came out and won. She then fell at Huntingdon in the race won by Bride's Hill. Now, she was beaten. In my opinion, she was already beaten at the point she came down. She looked to be losing ground, but that run was followed up by when she pulled up behind Carroll's Pass in a listed race, Exeter. But that 3 or 4 week period was at the point when Venetia couldn't train Clematis up a wall, let alone get a winner. The yard were in the really struggling. They've come out of that now. They've had a few horses run well. She's had a couple of winners. I think she's coming good. Pink Legend always seems to run better in the spring. Now, probably for her, she's going to run well here and then she'll win the race in April that she always seems to be targeted at. But I just thought she shouldn't be 80-1 because it's very unlikely that Charlie Deutsch is going to get up on her and think, right, we're going to win. So therefore, I think she's going to be ridden to try and pick up some pieces, which she's done in the past in the last couple of years. Again, is she going to win? Probably not. Probably her win odds should be 300s, but at 80-1, I'm quite happy with that because that's still, if she hits the frame, then that's giving me the best part of a 10-1 winner. So I wouldn't have a couple of quid on the day on Pink Legend. She's probably going to be between 66 and 100, but I'd echo your thoughts, Joe, really, that Dino Blue should be winning this.
should be.
Well, thank you very much for joining us for episode 3. We've got one more to go, which we should be recording on Wednesday as we round off our countdown to the Cheltenham Festival.